What is up, YouTube? It's DV, and today we're going to be talking about 10 things you should never do in BedWars on Roblox. So what are these 10 things? I'm going to get to those in just a moment. But before I begin, if you can do me a solid and hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I make lots and lots of Islands videos, as well as this game, BedWars. So this is actually the new game by the Roblox Islands team if you're just catching up to what's going on. But you can see here, there's actually a portal over here to Islands. So if you've ever played Islands, awesome. If you haven't played the game, it is amazing. In fact, I like Islands better than BedWars, but for various reasons. You know, for a competitive game, this is actually really fun, except for all the hackers. You know, they're doing a great job getting rid of these hackers, but you know, especially with the bans now, they're working on a lot of stuff, and I'm very closely attached to the communications with the dev team on how they're doing on stuff, and it's really, really great to see how fast they're patching these things. Lots and lots of, you know, hackers are getting banned, and it's automated, so that's even better. So today we're going to be talking about a couple things, but before I even jump into that, I have one more thing to say. So I'm closely approaching 400 wins, which is really awesome, right? So I've got 372 wins, and that's great and all, but big problem, I'm getting targeted. Every single time I join a match now, the more people watch my videos, the more they actually target me. They go straight for us. So now some of it is because people want screenshots, and you know, unfortunately, as soon as they get killed because they're trying to attack, or they seem to be attacking, but they're just really just trying to get a screenshot with me. Unfortunately, what happens is they focus on me, and then all the attention, everyone assumes I'm a threat. Yeah, I'm probably more experienced than most of the players on the server. So of course I get, you know, attacked by multiple teams at once. So it's been happening twice as much compared to usual for me. So what's going to happen is I now have to start playing on an alt, because what's happening is they see this star, right? So they assume, oh, YouTuber, and they want to kill me so that they can get credit for killing a YouTuber, which isn't really a fair play, right? Basically, I'm a target. I've got a big bullseye on my face, and I will be the first to say I am not pro at this game, okay? Yeah, I am good at the game, but am I pro? No, there's probably only a handful of truly pro players in this game. Do I win most of my games? Yes, absolutely. But it doesn't mean I'm going to win every single one of them. And I fall into the void just as much as anyone else. I get lazy. You know, I play so many rounds and I just get lazy. Now, you know, you have to understand, I'm not playing this game for competitive reasons. I don't consider this an esports game. I play to win, sure, but I'm having a great time. I tried all kinds of stuff all the time. I invite new players to my squad all the time. So I'm just trying to chill and have fun. But what's happening is this targeting is making it not so fun, because then I'm just like, you know, everyone's like, oh, YouTube, haha, you know, they're just taunting me the entire time, saying they killed DV. So it's just, you know, it's not pleasant. So I'm going to be actually switching to an alt pretty soon. So you won't be seeing me much in the game anymore on my main account, you know, but I'll still do some videos on my alts, and, you know, that's just how it's going to go. Unfortunately, you know, that's just how it is with these games. Any PvP games, you know, any YouTubers kind of have to play on alts, and I should have known better. You know, with a game like this and most games, you know, I'm actually really surprised that most players don't even show any kind of sportsmanship. It's very rare to see it. All we see is Call of Duty and League of Legends style, you know, toxicity in these games these days. Everyone's got to like one up at someone else, but you know, it really feels good when, you know, someone comes into the game and says GLHF. What is GLHF? Well, so some of you actually already know what that means, but some of you don't. It basically means good luck, have fun. Have fun with this. Now, when the game is over, I typically will say GGWP. What does GGWP mean? Well, good game, well played, right? So basically it means they played well. So just some acronyms. This is not anything new. DV did not come up with these acronyms. We've been using these acronyms for a long time in esports games. So just, you know, consider that whenever you're playing a game, GLHF and GGWP. It's just a nice and professional way of showing, you know, if you're a pro at this game, you don't come into the game saying, GG easy. That's just not, you know what that is? That's slapping your opponent after you already crushed them. You know, that's just not how pros actually act. So let's go ahead and jump into number one. First up, don't solo queue. So here I am solo. I got a lot of friend requests. Oh gosh. So, you know, I'm actually going to wait for my typical squad. I'm going to invite them real quick, and we're going to actually go through some of these things together. But number one is just don't solo queue. You're going to have a really bad experience in BedWars. Let me just tell you, typically speaking, you're going to get paired with someone that's either new to the game, or you're going to end up by yourself, or you're going to be in a partial team. And you know what? You just got, maybe you have someone that doesn't speak the same language. I've had that a few times. It can be a very frustrating experience. So don't solo queue. I would actually highly recommend get a, you know, group together, or talk with people in the lobby and ask if they would like to, you know, group up, and especially go after people with like higher wins if you can, because higher wins basically means, you know, you have a better chance to win, right? Typically speaking, it's better than say someone that hasn't had wins. If you're trying to pair with these players, they're going to be wanting to pair with some of these players. So that's just how it's going to go. They want to get carried. So I've got Rio, Tiff, and Untie here. They're actually staff on my Discord. So I'm actually going to show right here. You see this bed? You do not want to leave this unprotected, okay? And you also don't want to just protect it with wool. We're going to get some wood here. So you can see they're actually protecting it And the problem is and it is definitely good to protect it with something. Like, don't leave it completely empty. So I'm glad Tiff actually came back to protect that, because she saw that it wasn't protected yet. And that's really dangerous, you know, to not protect your bed. So definitely want to protect it. Definitely don't start it with wool. Start it with something better than wool. Got a team here. You saw we just got hit quite a bit, and they couldn't get past this wood because all they had was wooden pickaxes. And so that protected us, that saved us, that gave us a little bit more time. Now, if someone came through with like an iron, you know, axe, then we would have been in trouble. But most of those players did not know to use that. So we're going to save up 48 and we're going to put some stone. So next is actually don't just use a single material for protecting your bed if possible. I'm going to show you that right now. Typically, you'd want to do that a little bit later. You know, have like this is plenty for starting out. You know, if that, like if you're a really good player, you don't even need more than wool. I will tell you that for sure. If your team knows what they're doing, you do not need to use anything. And honestly, unless we have a game against good players, we don't typically even protect our bed. And why do we do that? Well, because we are typically pushing all teams at once and they don't have a chance to breathe. We want them to come after our bed because, you know, as soon as we do our attack, one of our team members are going to spawn back at base. And so we're going to be back at base anyway. At that point, we will protect it. So there's different strategies. There's different calculations of risk. There's also dependent on the map. In this map, you would never leave your bed unprotected. This is a small map. You do not leave your bed unprotected on this map, okay? So this is actually decent. It's not great. It's decent. So let's go to the next one. So next one is don't sit at iron like this, okay? Like you're actually sitting here and your team's trying to go and do stuff and you're just sitting like this entire time. And what happens is when someone dies, you want to have a reserve of iron already stacked and ready for them. You don't want to just be sitting here because what's happened is he's going to come back and he's trying to get some iron and now he has to sit there. What happens? Everything slows down, right? Everything slows down. So again, try not to hoard the iron. That's not a good idea. So next up is a scenario where, you know, trying to cross a bridge and someone's got a bow, right? And see how someone just knocked me with the bow and I gave them my iron. I had 19 iron. That is a no-no. Both of those are different no-nos. I'm going to get to those in a minute. But, you know, crossing a bridge while you have iron and someone has a bow on the other side, I mean, that's really bad. You couldn't make a bigger mistake in that scenario other than just giving someone your bed. Like, you basically fed them. I'm going to cover feeding in just a moment. But the big thing here is when you're crossing a bridge, don't just cross when someone's on the other side like that. Not a good idea, okay? Not a good idea. So when you're crossing a bridge in that scenario, just, again, see right here, if you're in a scenario like that and they have a bow, what you want to do is you can either double row, so you can basically build a secondary bridge but go sideways. So that way it's going to be harder for them to knock you, right? So you got a wider bridge. So if they did hit you, you're not going to get knocked off, right? And so, you know, in that scenario, you could have actually, you know, padded that. Now, what happens if they're actually just sitting here with a sword and you're crossing a bridge? That's another no-no. You don't want to cross a bridge like that when someone's on here just kind of like this, right? So say you're crossing the bridge and they're like this, they have the advantage because you hit them, they're just gonna knock back like this, right? So actually not gonna hit you. They're just basically gonna knock back. And see, this guy's actually shooting arrows at me right now. I gotta be careful with that. But see right here. So in this scenario, if you're attacking a guy that's sitting right there, what you want to do instead when you're crossing, you don't want to just cross the bridge. What you want to do instead is get it upper ground and go over him, right? So you're gonna go over the player and then you're gonna drop down behind them. And then you're going to knock them this way, right? So you want to knock them off. You want to get on the other side of them so you can knock them. Otherwise, knocking someone into a larger body of area, unless you have better armor, you're pretty much, it's already, you know, they're already going to win that. So again, just something to think about whenever you're playing, you know, take those things to note. Just don't cross a bridge like that. It's kind of silly. Don't do that. This is a don't right here. See how this player just crossed? See, we just knocked him. Easy knock. Now, related to what we just covered is don't feed the enemy team. See how much iron I have? You want to use that iron before you actually go and attack. Because here's the thing. If you go and attack with, you know, diamonds, emeralds, and iron, and you die, you're just feeding the enemy team. That's called feeding. And it's the worst thing you could possibly do to a team that is turtling. You're basically feeding the enemy team. This is a big mistake that most players make in this game. I will tell you, even some of the greatest players I've played with do this all the time. And what they do is they just keep running into the turtled base. And what happens is every single time they go in with iron or diamonds or emeralds, they actually are feeding the enemy team because they're probably going to die. If they're going in by themselves to a turtled team, they're probably going to die. It's just, it happens so much. Unless they're really good, they're probably going to die. So again, don't go into an enemy base. I only have 7. Now, if you only have 7, it's no big deal, right? But if you have other stuff, then yeah, you don't really want to do that. So again, this is a great example. I've got 6 emeralds. You do not want to feed the enemy team. This is not a time to attack. When you have a full load of emeralds, you do not attack, okay? If you're going to attack, let me tell you, going back to that tip, if you're going to attack and you have a stack, what you need to do is drop this to your team. Do that. Drop it to your team or leave it behind. Don't bring it with you. Let me tell you, don't bring it with you. Now, I will tell you right now, if you actually do get knocked by someone, on the way down, while you're falling, so I'm actually going to jump off right now. While you're falling, just spam this and get rid of as much as you can while you're falling to the void, okay? Try to actually dump your items so that you don't actually give those to the enemy team, okay? So if it says you were killed by someone, you basically just fed, although we just won. And so, you know, again, they can't, if they're turtling, they can't get emeralds without you feeding them. They can't get out of their base because they're not farming. The only way they can get anything is if they upgraded diamonds, and you would have to bring them to them, right? Which otherwise they would have had to go out and get. If you can fully choke someone out so they never get diamonds or emeralds, you win, because they don't have the upgrades that you do. They don't have the diamond armor. They don't get the, you know, they don't get a crossbow. They can't upgrade their sharpness. They can't upgrade their team generators. They're stuck, and they're using resources constantly to continue to repair their base. Like if you're TNTing them, the only way they can get stuff is by farming iron or by, you know, basically killing you and your team is feeding. I just knocked both of those guys. I took their diamonds. See, I have 8 diamonds now. I didn't even have to kill them. All I had to do was knock them, and they just fed me a ton. So I was able to upgrade this to a second generator, all because of them actually being, you know, again, do's and don'ts. If they saw me coming with a bow, they would have actually ran or stayed on top and shot me down with their own bow. One of them actually had a bow, but they might have been out of arrows. I would have actually bailed right away. Or I would have dumped my diamonds just in case. And the other thing I will tell you, see how clean this bridge is? So another clean bridge here. This is a good bridge. Now I'm going to show you what not to do, okay? So I just showed you a couple examples of clean bridges. I'm going to show you something that a lot of players do. I'm going to cross this way. And what they do is they actually will block you. So they'll do something like this, and then they'll go straight up like that, and then they'll go across, right? The problem is yes, you could do this in a solo, but check this out. You have 3 teammates behind you. You know what they have to do now? They have to do that, or they have to have enough blocks to get back up. And what about this crew back, you know, back there? They have to be under that block, right? You know, what if they don't have any wool? And this is what's going to happen. They're going to fall to the void like I just did. Now, I did that completely intentionally, by the way, but I'm just showing you an example of what not to do with your team. Think about if someone's behind you, don't do that. Now, if you're being chased, then go ahead and do it. I mean, it's totally okay if you're being chased, then go for it. But you don't want to do that in a scenario where you're actually rushing with the team. In fact, I've had a lot of good players that I've squatted with. They constantly do that. And it's just something that, you know, is actually makes it really hard for you to rush with them if they're actually making it impossible. I'm going to show you another example after this round. I'm going to show you another example of what not to do when you're bridging for your team. This is kind of a 2-for-1, okay? So you can see right here, like we're bridging across. This is what happens. See this? There's a void there, and they didn't see it because they're closely following behind you. You're going to fall into the void. I've seen so many teammates fall into the void because of that, because of a bad bridge. So be careful, you know, when you're bridging. Think about, am I really saving much by saving that extra block or two by not completing my bridge, right? So for example, you know, I've got 76 blocks here. If I'm going to do this, here's what I would do. I wouldn't leave a gap right there. I would actually finish all the way right there. And this is how I bridge. And I could do it really, really fast. I'm going to show you how fast I can bridge. I could do it so fast. You can see I'm like, there's no delay here, right? So, and I always do this too. I always fill the gaps when I can. So you can see how Rio did it exactly, and try to just complete it. So next up is something that a lot of people actually do neglect often, and that is actually, you know, farming diamonds and upgrading their team generator at least once. I would say you need it at least once. Otherwise, if your team is actually trying to, you know, do a nice aggressive push, they have to sit here, and the longer they sit here to get armor, to get blocks, to get whatever they need, is giving the other team time to actually, you know, build up, right? So they're actually getting more resources over time, and you really don't want to give them an opportunity to, you know, to build up. So that is why you really want to push fast. You want to upgrade your team generator as fast as you can, especially on a map like this. You do not want a turtle. You do not want to let, you know, the other team ever build up, right? So, and you also want to make sure, again, you get these diamonds. So, and we're not going to actually rush. Again, back to feeding. If I went in with these guys, with these 2 diamonds, I would have to set them aside first. Like if I'm going to do this, I would actually set these aside and then go in with them, right? And we don't want to do that. We really don't want to do that. All right, so we're going to upgrade our team generator now. So you can see it's going much faster. A lot of people just neglect this. So let me give him some iron. This is another thing you can do, just a tip. If you're not doing anything critical, and you can equip them so they can get armor faster, they can get, you know, swords faster, they can get wool faster. Definitely do that if you're hanging back. This is actually a 2-for-1. Don't take the diamonds if you're rushing, okay? And the very last item in here is not to team with other teams, okay? If someone said, hey, like, hey, Blue, let's team, you know, we'll share resources or we'll attack together. That's a big no-no, okay? That's one, it's completely unethical. It's completely unfair. It's actually going to be frowned upon by most players in the game. And, you know, you just don't want to have a bad reputation in the game. Like, oh, you know, oh, this guy likes to team with others. It's something that no good players do. Let me tell you, no good players are going to team. It's actually not much different than exploiting or cheating, right? It's just another way of cheating. It's not fair. It's not how the game was built. The game was made to be fair. So again, if you're going to go and team with others, you're doing a wrong to others who otherwise deserve to actually have a fair game, you know? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. And good luck on your games. I hope these tips actually help you quite a bit with, you know, actually winning more games. And you might actually be in this match right now. Let's go.